my name's Nick Brown. I'm a senior 365 developer and architect at Jisc. Been working in the education sector since 2008. I do not look as old as I am in any picture or in real life. Been working on the platform for 11 years now. Yeah, this is probably the second year that I've actually been contributing to the community and absolutely loving it and hoping to do some more demos. So let's get into the actual grip. So I'm going to talk about what is Fluent UI, what is the current version of Fluent UI, talk about the new version, version 9, give you a demo of what that looks like and go into some of the code. I'll try and make this as quick because there is another demo after me. So yeah, what is Fluent UI? It's a collection of UI frameworks created by Microsoft to bring platform together. It's developed by Microsoft. URL that you should all know if you're developing anything to do with SharePoint is the URL that's on screen. Yeah, built for one platform. Yeah, it is the company Fluent UI 7 is what ships with SPFx, and in total with Fluent UI 8, there's 128 or so components in the library. So it's a very, very extensive library, 7 and 8. So what is different? Oh, well, sorry, let's have a quick video of where this is. So yeah, for those of you who don't know about the Fluent UI website, this is where you can go and find all of your controls that you want to use in your lovely SPFx packages, your buttons and everything. You've got your code that you want to use. If you want to use it, you've got your drop downs. And these are all using what I would call the SharePoint style of controls, which is very good for SharePoint, but it's actually starting to show that it's not quite the styling anymore, especially around Outlook. It's them getting a bit rounder with their boxes and with their buttons, but there's stuff in the Fluent UI 7 and 8 that you can't get in the new one, which I'll go through in a second. But absolutely amazing controls, and the source code is there. You can literally just go into the source code tab and drag and drop. So Fluent UI 9 is the new version that Microsoft is making. It's Windows 11 styled, React based. It merges, and this is the big one, it merges 8 and Northstar together. So anybody that's developing stuff for Teams, they'll know very heavily about Northstar. And this is merging that into one library. It's an ongoing project. And currently there's only 60 components, so you've got a lot more in the older version of Fluent UI, but they are heavily developed in Fluent UI 9. And yeah, the big thing there is it merges 8 and Northstar into one thing. So quick little video now of the Fluent UI 9 React website. Current version is 9.7 as of when I recorded this on Monday. There are, like I said, 60 plus components. You've got all your standard components in there, as well as the very useful tab list one. No, just seen that in chat. No, SPFx 1.16 is not using Fluent UI 9. It's still using Fluent UI 7. So this is what it looks like. These are the buttons. They're a lot more styled around Windows 10 and 11. Yeah, you've got your campaign buttons, your split buttons, your toggle buttons. You've got your tab list in here as well, and as you can see, it looks a lot more like what you get with Windows 11 and the styling around that. What else have I got in here? Yeah, we go through what the vertical appearance looks like. And yeah, we've got the sliders, we've got the dialogues as well. And you can see that they look a lot more like Windows 11 than they would the older style. A lot more in keeping with Outlook and that. So let's hit the demo and show you the Fluent UI 9 demo that I've put together. This has actually been updated. Thanks Avessa for releasing 1.16 a couple of days ago. It has been I have updated my the module. It probably hasn't hit the repo yet. So yeah, I've added this into a com site here. Just installed the app in the normal way, and we'll go and see where it is now. So we'll go to the Fluent UI tab, and you can see now it looks very, very similar to the standard Fluent UI package, and that's some of the magic I'm doing in the background. But you can see subtle differences, especially in the buttons. The corners aren't more rounded in Fluent UI 9. You've got your tab controls, and they were in more of the Windows 11 way of doing things. And yeah, you've got your card controls in here and your inputs. Yeah, you've got your inputs. The inputs are, again, more Windows UI, Windows 11 UI based. And this is one of the other source codes that I've made, and it's actually made using Fluent UI 9. So yeah, the latter part of this demo is just going to show you quickly that. I'm hoping that they're going to merge all the Fluent UIs into one, but Fluent UI 9 isn't probably where I would say at a state that it's good enough for swapping over to yet. It's getting there. It is a lot faster to use, and using more of the modern paradigms for coding in. So you can see here I'm showing off that I've used the table control. I've used the SharePoint dialog information for pulling up who somebody is. You can see here the search box and text input. So you can see that's more in the Windows 11 style, where it's you get that animation on the underline. And yeah, that is the quick demo of that. But I would be hesitant to not show off some of the cool features of Fluent UI 9. And that is around when you move over to Teams. And with the magic of SPFx, whenever the Teams functionality came in, but also, you'll see in a second, the 16 stuff. So you can see here, it's picking up the style colors from Teams. And yeah, there's not much more to say. It's picking up the style color from Teams. But here's the big thing that happens when you go into dark mode. It's pulling across the dark mode theme for Teams. And that's native in the, I'm doing a bit of coding to actually make that happen, but the themes are actually native in Fluent UI 9. And we'll go now into something that I recorded probably an hour before this demo. And that is, I managed to get my Outlook.com functionality working in this, thanks in part to obviously SPFx 16. And you can see there that even toggling into dark mode, the theme is changing inside of Outlook as well. So let's have a look at some of the code. So the first thing you'll need to do is actually install the Fluent UI React components. That's done using the standard npm stuff. I'm doing the shorthand here. Optionally, if you're doing this from the start, you can actually uninstall the older version, the Office UI Fabric React components, because you don't need them. And see if this is going to work properly. So this is the code, and so in the web part, the actual web part itself, we need to import the providers, the theme providers, as well as I'm importing here the Teams Dark, the Teams Light, and the Web Light and Dark themes. I am also I've pulled in a shim from the docs that Microsoft's released to map across the theme. This is slightly different from the code that's currently in GitHub. That pull request is currently going through to move over to this. It's something that the Fluent UI 9 team have released. I've used an enum then to actually set what app mode the apps are running in. And you can see there that's been updated for SPFx 1.16. We are just obviously initializing some config variables there. And then one of the big bits that's going in is using SPFx 16, obviously pulling across from the Teams.js SDK, pulling out what mode the app is running in. If the SDK isn't there, it's actually in SharePoint mode. So we're just picking that up and popping that into a local variable. So yeah, the actually rendering the components, we're actually still in this, but what we need to do is wrap the actual control itself in the Fluent UI provider. So this is just us initializing it, but instead of passing that directly to the renderer, we're saving that in a variable. And then we're wrapping that. We're creating a Fluent Provider variable then. And this is where we're doing some of the magic around setting which theme we want to use, depending on which app mode we're in. So if we're in Teams, we're going to set it either into Teams Dark or Teams Light, depending if it's in dark mode. If it's in SharePoint, we're going to set it either to use the Web Dark theme or use the theme that has been set in the SharePoint site itself. Failing that, we're going to fall over to using the Web Dark and Web Light themes. So that is an addition that I did today to get Outlook working. And then on the renderer, we're actually passing through the Fluent UI elements rather than the actual element itself. The element itself is getting put in as a child on the Fluent Provider. And then on the theme change, we just need to do a bit of work here and this is where the shim comes in. We're passing the theme that we get through as a read-only item from SPFx. We're passing that through to the shim, which is mapping all of the colors onto the new Fluent UI framework. And I believe I show the shim in the next one. Yep. So I've slightly concatenated this and removed some. This is available from the Fluent UI doc site. They've got a TS file with the shim actually in. I've taken that, stripped out some of the bits because the effects and fonts I couldn't get working. So I've just done the colors in this one using their mapping file. And that gets mapped onto the standard theme. And then in the actual demo, I've just concatenated this down again. I went forward too far there. We're pulling through the buttons and I'm just showing off how it works with a tab list and then how dividers work and some of the buttons work. Full source code, I think David or somebody has already probably shared the link to the repo for this. One thing to note is stacks currently do not exist in Fluent UI 9. So those that are very familiar with using stacks, they're not in Fluent UI 9 yet. They may not come to Fluent UI 9. So if you want to do it, the simplest method I've found to do this is just to use a bit of CSS to do it. But there are some shims available as well. And that is it for me. I think I managed to rattle through that. So thank you very much. And
awesome,
yeah,
Nick.
The links, David's posted the links.
Thanks a lot, Nick. That's a great overview of Fluent UI 9. Definitely something for all developers to know about if they're not using some sort of standard controls. They certainly ought to be. There are a few other options out there if anyone's interested too.